Our big stat presented by Old National Bank shows you just how strong the Big Ten's recruiting rankings are in the still developing class of 2025. Ohio State currently owns the top class in the nation according to 24/7, with Oregon and Penn State also inside the top 10. And how about the job being done in Madison and Piscataway, as Luke Fickell and Greg Schiano each had their respective programs inside the top 16. Those are the numbers to tell us exactly how it has happened. Welcome in recruiting expert Alan Trieu. Alan, let's start at the top. How have Ryan Day and the Buckeyes accomplished to this point what they have accomplished looking into their class of 2025 ranking?
Yeah, I think they've done it the way that they always have. You know, you always expect Ohio State to be at or near the top of the national rankings and at or near the top of the Big Ten rankings. But I think they've been able to do that with a couple of positions that they've typically been strong at. You know, you have a big boost at the quarterback position with what C.J. Stroud's doing in the NFL right now. And then the leader of this class is quarterback Tavian St. Clair, a five-star from inside the state of Ohio. He's the #2 player in the country on 24/7 Sports. So huge boost from having him in the class. And he's jumped up the rankings quite a bit steadily throughout his recruitment. So he certainly helps. And then obviously the NFL is littered with cornerbacks from Ohio State. They have 2 5-star corners in this class. So when you have positions of strength that you're able to capitalize on, it's something that Ohio State has always done. They never recruit like they expect to be the #1 school. I always think Ryan Day and his staff, to the off-the-field staff, they always get after it in recruiting, whether they're #1 or they're #3 or they're #15. They recruit the same way, and that's a very top-down approach. Everybody gets involved. Off-field staff is outstanding, and I think you have more of that in this class, and I think you have more to come. There's a couple of guys in the class who are just outside of 5-star range. Offensive tackle Carter Lowe is #33, so he's one spot outside of 5-star range. A couple of those guys could push in before signing day and maybe move this class even further ahead of their peers.
Oregon ranks 2, at least as far as Big Ten schools right now in the national rankings, looking ahead to the class of 2025. Big Ten fans may not be all that familiar with Dan Lanning's recruiting philosophy. What is it, and how does Oregon continue to succeed on the recruiting trail?
Yeah, I think if you follow Oregon recruiting from a more peripheral space, you think of the facilities right away. You think of all the flash with the different uniforms, and all of that is certainly present there. But when you talk to the recruits who visit out there, and if you look at some of the recruiting interviews that come back after the official visits, those kind of flashy aspects of the program are often talked about following the talking about the coaching staff. And so I think they've been able to add a lot of substance to some of that flash. Dan Lanning is a very hands-on recruiter. I think he's one of the best head coach recruiters in the entire country, and you see that with how they're building this class. So if you talk to the kids, you know, all those bells and whistles are nice, but they come secondary to the people there. I think their staff's done an incredible job. And obviously, once kids finally get out there to visit, they're blown away by the place, but the staff has a lot to do with that. You have to have the right people there to sell those aspects of the program. They've had a really, really strong week in recruiting here. A couple of guys who were favored to go elsewhere, cornerback Dorian Brew, tight end Desan Brame, they get those guys in the class. And so that's another thing, is they don't ever rest until that kid is committed. Even sometimes after they're committed, they've flipped a couple of recruitments that didn't seem to be going their way back to their side this week, and that's something that they can do quickly in recruiting.
Penn State gives the Big Ten 3 teams currently ranked inside the top 10 nationally as far as the 2025 class is concerned. They've made a big push in June, adding a handful of 4-star recruits, including Jaden Woods. What do you like about Woods specifically, and what do you like overall about what Penn State has done in this recruiting cycle?
Yeah, first on Woods, I mean, he's an exceptional athlete, 40-inch vertical, runs track, also throws on the track team, has played a number of different sports and can really get to the quarterback, has big tackle for loss and sack numbers the last 2 seasons. And then in terms of his recruitment, he was not a guy who was favored to go to Penn State throughout the recruitment. He's from Kansas. That's not a state that Penn State has recruited a ton in the past, but they built a really good relationship with him. He's a Kansas State legacy. At various points in his recruitment, we thought he might be favoring Tennessee. Purdue had some good buzz for him, but Penn State kept chipping away, did a great job with him on his official visit, and that's something that they do. You know, their approach to this class, they always recruit well under James Franklin, and I don't think that they're trying to reinvent the wheel, but they are trying to get stronger at certain spots. And when you look at this class, the defensive line position and the defense overall, a lot of top defensive players in this class. That's what I really like about them. But 2 bookend pass rushers, Jaden Woods being one of them, are really the highlights for this class.
Rutgers may be the surprise, at least for now, of the 2025 class. And I understand, Alan, that these rankings change a lot. Rutgers has a large quantity of guys right now inside this class. But still, how much of a boost is this for Greg Schiano and his second go-around to try to get this program to where he wants it to be, especially now that there is no East and West division and Rutgers doesn't, year in and year out, have to deal with Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan in their own division?
Yeah, I think it's a huge boost. And I feel like I've explained this several times recently, because this is a frequent question we get on the message boards and, outside of the message boards, is how is Rutgers doing this? But again, very personable staff. They have also the kids talk a lot about their academic programs and what they're able to offer away from football. They've been able to sell that. And the class is big right now. There's 28 commits in the class, so that is helping matters. But when you look at the top of this class, they have 5 4-stars committed in this class. So no matter what, that quality is going to remain even as schools start to add other commits and catch up. So will they stay 12 till National Signing Day? Maybe not, but I do expect this to be a very highly ranked national class. And when you even take the rankings aside, to get this kind of talent in, to get it to believe in the program early, to come out to the state of Michigan, where I'm at, and beat Michigan State in schools like that for an offensive lineman like Nakai Wynn in early June, that is a show of where this program's headed and how they're able to show that to recruits.
Yeah, I think Greg Schiano maybe just trying to keep up with Steve Peichel after the basketball team had one of the best recruiting cycles in not just program history, but one of the best in the nation this past year. All right, lastly, similar situation for Wisconsin. It was an up and down year one for Luke Fickell and Madison, but they have crushed it on the recruiting trail. How?
Yeah, I think when you go back and look at how Luke Fickell's been as a recruiter, first as an assistant coach, and then what they've done at Cincinnati, they've taken that approach and added to it in Madison. I mean, obviously Madison is a great college town, and they're able to get kids on official visits and show them that's a beautiful place in the summer, and so they're able to do that. I think they've supplemented that. When you look at how many official visitors were able to get to a game in the fall and experience jump around, experience Cam Randall on game day, and then you bring them back in the summer and you get them up for official visits, I think they've done an excellent job of that. They don't recruit just regionally anymore. I mean, they went way out west for linebacker Mason Posa, who's the top recruit in the class. And so I think the key is being able to get the kids up to Madison at least once, but more than that, multiple times, so they can see a game day atmosphere and then also experience what that town is like, what Wisconsin is like in the summer.
No one has been working harder over the last couple of months than our guy, Alan Trieu. The good news for Alan and some of these college football staffs, a little bit of a dead period now, so some well-deserved rest for our recruiting expert. Alan Trieu, we always appreciate the time, man. Enjoy a little bit of time away from the recruiting trail and away from the cell phone as well.
I will attempt to. Thanks for having me.